What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Papa Jug Podcast. Tonight we are joined by MisterJinxy.
Party people, how you feeling?
MisterJinxy, how the hell are you?
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Are we live?
Yeah, we're live.
Oh, I'll put my clothes on. Hold on.
No, don't do that. I'm trying to boost the ratings here. Oh, wait, yeah, put your clothes on. Put your clothes on.
Put them on, put them on, put them on.
I think we just had a conversation about not taking clothes off. Because it hurts people.
It hurts people.
It makes their eyes burn. Anyways, how are you?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
I'm doing great. Did you have a good week?
Yeah, not bad. Busy at work as usual, but other than that, not too bad. Short week because of the holiday, so cannot complain.
Did you also have Monday off?
I did have Monday off. My company didn't close on Monday, but I took a vacation day.
Ah, okay. For those
cheated.
of you listening to just the audio, we're talking about last Monday.
Right.
Yeah, last Monday. You know, it's because we're recording on a Friday and you're listening on a Monday because you would never wait 24 hours for this to be a Tuesday. So yeah, it's last Monday.
Last Monday.
Yeah. Well, good. I'm glad you had a good week. Even a short week is sometimes a nice break. We don't get another one of these until like Labor Day.
Right, like 2 more months.
Yeah, like this isn't Europe. Like we don't get 4-day work weeks. We don't get, long maternity leaves or paternity leaves in our case.
No, we're not allowed to have babies here.
No. Hey, somebody says that we're sitting under a never mind.
Are we kissing now?
I guess. I mean, that's the rumor. Anyways, tonight we've got a lot to cover, everybody. We are going through quite a few topics. We are kicking off with Twitter. We're also going to be talking about some topics that came up at VidCon. We're going to be talking about games coming out in July. We're going to give you a little bit of a rundown on each of the platforms. Whatever one you care about is probably wrong. Then we've got Sea of Thieves following after that. And then our big topic of the night that Jinxie and I are going to get deep on is going to be artificial intelligence. A, we both need it. B, should we have it? We'll get into all of that. So, first things first, Jinxie, let's talk about Twitter and how they hate us.
My favorite platform.
Right, everybody. Well, not if you're Mark Zuckerberg, because now you've got Threads, which is, I'm sorry, how many people are on Threads now?
It was like when the first day was like 30 million or something. Like it was pretty ridiculous.
When I saw 10 million in 7 hours, I was like, I'm checked out. I'm not keeping the counter running anymore. We're done.
Yeah, and I saw Mr. Beast. He was the first to hit 1 million.
Yeah,
followers.
That happened yesterday or today. I think it was today.
I think it was today. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Mr. Beast hit 1 million. Now, because the media started to say, Mr. Beast gets to 1 million faster than Mark Zuckerberg, which A, didn't know was a race. B, lots of people have more followers than Mark Zuckerberg. C, Meta put out a little statement that said, while Mr. Beast is the first individual to reach 1 million followers, he is not the first account to reach. It was like, he didn't do it first. A lot of people had. It's like, shut the fuck. Anyways, I just thought it was lame. But anyways, so yes, Threads is a whole thing, and we'll get into that. But I first want to cover the Twitter rate limit. Twitter decided that we should no longer be able to see everything on Twitter. Which, when you saw this, what was your reaction?
Well, I laughed at the reason because Twitter DDoSed itself.
Yeah, fair, yeah.
So I saw that and I was like, no way. And I started looking into it and I was like, it DDoSed itself. Fantastic.
Yeah.
From what I saw, it's been finally up to what it's verified. It's what 10,000 posts a day.
Yeah, the last number I saw was
unverified's
that
1,000.
Correct, and then unverified new accounts. I think you're still at 600.
Something like that.
Something
Yeah.
like that? Yeah.
I mean, but honestly, I'm like, I don't even know if I look at 600 posts a day.
Well, if you haven't hit the rate limit exceeded error message, then no, you don't.
Right. I don't.
And that's I've never. I mean, imagine walking into a store that says you can only see aisles 1 through 5. The rest of them are for other people.
That's a shame because it's on aisle 6.
Yeah. Anyways,
That's
I
lock and
I
key.
don't. The other thing that I don't understand, and you work in the field, so I'm trying to put some rationality behind this. Can't they just limit the accounts that are using tons of data? Like, if the traffic to one account is that much, just kill that account. Just put a rate limiter on them. Like, why do the rest of us have to suffer through it?
Technically, they could, but the issue then would lie in you're not doing it to anyone else.
Right. You're doing it to the
So
people
like
breaking
they
the
have,
rules.
it would almost have to be which is exactly what they're doing, is just an across the board limit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I mean, who's reading 10,000 posts a day? Like, who needs to read 10,000 Twitter posts in a day? I mean, I guess if you're a social media marketer for some company, maybe, but that seems excessive.
Mr. Beast.
Does it not? Mr. Beast.
Mr. Beast. He has 1 million followers just on Threads. He's got 30 million on Twitter or something like that. I mean, it's nuts.
I would
It's
delete my
crazy numbers.
Twitter.
But he's not reading 10,000 tweets.
No, absolutely not.
I haven't seen a Twitch, a verified Twitch account complain about hitting the limit. And I think that's interesting.
The thing that annoys me though is that, and it's been this issue since he took over. I say he because he is Voldemort, but I just, it's kind of like a pay to win on social media, right? It's ridiculous. It's like, give me, what is it, $8 a month or whatever it is to be verified. And it's like, and basically unlimited reading, because like I said, no one's going to read 10,000 posts in a single day. Right. It's just interesting to me. I don't know the move. I wish he would just go ahead and shut it down.
The thing that I thought, especially as it developed, it was like 4 days later, something like that. But the CEO finally came out and basically said, yeah, Elon's smart. And okay, you're still a pretend CEO. Okay, we all knew that Elon was going to pick somebody he could boss around. And you came in saying that you had a vision and you agreed with this, that, and the other. But he's the one that announced it. Your CTO announced it, not you. And you need to step up as a CEO, and you haven't. So let's just forget. I mean, it took you 4 days just to say, I agree with my CTO. I agree with my employee. Okay.
Right.
Sure.
Twitter, I wish he would let it go. I give it to someone else or just bury it.
I don't know if he can.
I mean, probably not. It just seems like every turn they're just trying to bury that company. Right, they are just pissing people off left and right, like the whole verified fiasco. I mean, there's people making parody accounts under the same name as famous people and just paying for the blue check mark.
Yeah,
and they're running around posting nonsense. It's a mess. Like, they're not verifying anybody.
No, you're not truly verified. Your check cleared. That's what it was.
Yeah, your PayPal account was good,
right?
So they took your money.
I got to tell you,
the whole thing is ridiculous.
I think. I'm positive I have a very unpopular opinion about this. I don't think he's making. I don't think most of the decisions that Musk has made are bad. I think the way he made them and the way he dropped them are bad.
Sure,
but his platform, he bought something that wasn't working.
Correct.
And I think that he's looking at it with whatever perspective he's got. He's looking at it saying there are ways to make this site better, and I'm going to do it. The problem is he's not a PR person. And I also don't think he's a CEO. I think he needs to stop making all the decisions. But, he's just running around like a bull in a china shop. And this rate limiting thing, it's like, okay, A, wrong way to stop it. B, wrong way to announce it, which, by the way, he deployed and then announced. Like,
right.
That's a whole cluster. Yeah, there's a whole problem with that too. But, there's this whole issue of how does he do things? He has to generate more revenue. It's a fact. Is $8 a month from enough people? No. It's going to, kick him up $50 million? So what?
Right. I mean, I obviously the platform needs to make money to survive. Mm-hmm. It's like you said, it's kind of just the way he's going about it. Yeah. That sucks, right? Like, it was like the whole verified fiasco. What was the first number? It was some astronomical number he threw out there first.
Oh, when he was kicking the idea around? Yeah, that was like
was so huge.
$99 or something, or
Yeah,
maybe
but
that
it was like a
later.
month
I don't
or
know. Yeah, it was
something.
crazy.
Like it was ridiculous. And then Stephen King, I think, was the one that's like, yeah, I'm not paying that. And he's like,
Yeah.
well, what about 8?
Right. Well, that's kind of like our friend. That's kind of like our friend Ren when he was playing Star Citizen. Somebody tried to pirate his haul, and he was like, "There, have a glow stick," you know.
Have a glow stick. Here you go.
You know, I'm just going to keep throwing lower and lower numbers, and finally, you're not going to do anything. Which, you know, again, most people on Twitter are not paying for this stuff, but he is incentivizing the hell out of paying for it.
Sure.
You know, it's like everybody else, you're going to see like 1,000 posts. You want to pay me $8, you get 10. You get 10 times the amount. Isn't that great?
I guess my concern is how far is he going to go with it, right? Like it'll be, oh, you're not verified. Okay, you can no longer attach pictures to your tweets. You can no longer do XYZ unless if you pay, right? Like, I mean, I think they're probably just testing the waters. I mean, obviously the site was killing itself.
Yeah.
I think they're also just testing the waters. Like, how much are they willing to put up with before they pay? It's like, okay, only 1,000 posts. Okay, most people don't hit that, and it's like, oh, but you want to post a cool screenshot from our point of view, like from your stream, right? It's like, oh well, can't do that anymore unless if you give us that $8, sir, and then you can post your pictures. And I think they need to be careful because Threads has proven that people are kind of looking for something else.
Yeah. I think that Twitter is going through, and they're learning it the hard way, especially right now with this whole rate limiting thing. I think that's set off so many people. Like the whole $8 thing, a lot of people are just like, okay, dumbass move. I hate you for it. I'm just not going to pay you, and I'll just keep using Twitter for free. But with Threads, it's like, okay, I have an alternative now, and it's run by a reputable company. I may not like Mark Zuckerberg, but I like him a lot more than I like Elon Musk. You know, people will have that mental conversation. So there's going to be that benefit to it. And I think they're going to learn the hard way that the alternative it exists now. It's real.
I think the benefit Threads is having right now, as opposed to Twitter, is Threads is seen as a meta company.
Mm-hmm.
Twitter is seen as Elon Musk's company.
Yeah.
And if you don't like Elon Musk, you're probably not going to like Twitter. It's like, yeah, I don't like Facebook necessarily or Mark Zuckerberg necessarily, but when you see Threads, it's a meta company. It's not a Facebook company. It's not a Mark Zuckerberg company. But I mean, who knows? Threads could start doing the same stuff too. But like someone said, you know, it's like they can even start charging for character limits on your tweets. Be like, oh, you're not verified? Okay, they drop it back to what it was before. What was it, like 150 characters, 200, whatever it was?
260, I think.
Like way back in the day, and they'll be like, okay, we're back to that. And
oh no, back in the day it was 140.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I could see them dropping it back to that and being like, all right, well, give us $8 and you can tweet as much as you want.
Well, that's the way it is now. Right now, if you're verified, you can tweet, I think, up to 4,000 characters.
Oh, really? Okay, so that already is different. Okay.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If you are a verified account, I believe you have a 4,000 character limit now. I mean, watch some people that we know on Twitter. If you look at certain accounts, like it's a wall paragraph of text. It's gigantic.
Right.
And you're just like, oh, you have a blue check mark. Got it. The rest of us are still adding tweets. God damn it.
we're doing twit longers.
Yeah,
still.
exactly. And then they just shut off, or what is it, at the end of this month, I think it is, they're killing TweetDeck. Like TweetDeck is going to be going away. It's a whole, yeah.
I'm not familiar with TweetDeck. What is that?
It's an official Twitter integrated product. It gives you additional capabilities. It kind of functions as like a social media monitoring. It's a whole thing.
Okay.
But you know, again, they didn't want the access, so they're like, all right, we're gonna limit that. We're gonna basically kill it. But that's, you know, so I think bottom line is with the rate limiting, I think they're trying to address is what is probably a serious problem. What I think is interesting though is that they're saying we don't want the AI bots learning from basically, you know, free stealing all of our tweets, but we're going to allow AI content on the platform.
Yeah,
like you either like AI later, or you don't, and we'll talk about
AI
that.
is a train that's not stopping.
That's later. That's later in the show.
Yeah,
later in the show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
because the show is not stopping. But I don't know. Do you think that this rate limiting is going to be permanent, and do you think it's going to have a long-term negative impact?
I can see them right now saying it's not permanent, right? And be like, oh, we're trying to get the site leveled back out, right?
Yep.
But I could see it as soon as people stop complaining, them trying to just sweep it under the rug. And just being like, well, no one's complaining, so let's just leave it.
Yeah, that's very possible. I think
Like,
the same.
okay, the outrage is over. Let's just leave it. And then then the next thing will be like, oh, if you're not verified, you can only tweet, let's just say 3 times a day, right? And then they'll see how that goes, and then they'll kind of just keep restricting little things here and there until people just get squeezed to a point where they're like, I have to pay. Because like most of us could probably get away with 3 tweets a day, and it's like, okay, I can get around that. And then they're like, oh, okay, well now you can't put pictures in your tweets, and you're like, okay, now this is starting to get a little worse.
People start doing the 8-bit draws, 8-bit drawings.
Right, and it's just kind of they'll just get it to a point to where you're just like, okay, here's my money.
Yeah, or thanks, I'm going to Threads.
Or thanks, I'm going to Threads. Yeah.
All right.
I would just move to Threads if they would make it to where you could just follow your followers, like, or to get a feed of just the people you're following. Because I'm saying, I'm like, I don't care about half these people.
Yeah, you've talked about that. You really hate that you can't log it down. Well, on Twitter you can. You can. Yeah, on Twitter you can. That's right.
Yep.
Threads has a lot of room to grow. It's existed for 48 hours.
Yeah.
We'll see what they do. I think they rushed it. I think that Meta was like, okay, Twitter is failing now. Go. Just push the button.
They saw a window and they took it.
They saw a window. I agree. All right, sir. Let's move on. Let's talk about VidCon. So VidCon is kind of like TwitchCon. It's a little bit different. This was the first time in 2 years. I mean, last year, what the hell's the name of that other company? TikTok. Good Lord. Just blanked on that. TikTok was the title sponsor for last year, but this year YouTube came back and took it over, so I called it YouTube's VidCon. There were a couple of things that came up at VidCon, one of which we're going to talk about later in the show, and we've already talked about tonight, was AI. What is the role of AI in content creation? But there was another topic that came up that specifically for you and I as creators, I wanted to talk to you about. There was an entire presentation from one of the guys. Are you familiar with the Try Guys?
Oh yeah, the guys that tried cheating. No, I'm just kidding.
Deal. Wow, Jinxie got personal quick.
Oh, spicy.
Okay. Yeah, let's try our
Today,
interns.
Try Guys, try cheating.
Yeah, try our interns. So anyway, one of the guys from the Try Guys, Zach Hornfeld, he did a panel with a guy from Jelly something, whatever the hell they are. Anyways, they did this conversation about platforms, and they were talking about diversification and the fact that you can't just master one thing. And that's something for you and I as content creators. We've talked about this one-on-one. We've talked about this in our content creation team.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you have to be? How many places do you need to be present? How many skills do you need to have? Like, for most content creators, it's a one-stop shop of you have to do everything. So
I was gonna say too damn many things.
Yeah, exactly. And they were talking about, and this was apparently echoed by a lot of creators. There was a lot of support for this particular topic. It was, you can't just be great. Like, for the Try Guys, for example, he said, yeah, we couldn't just be great at making videos. We also had to be great at networking on social media. We also had to be great at business. We also had to be great at creating, short form content, long form content. We also had to be great at graphic design. It's a long list. Where do you find yourself on that debate? Can you be good at one thing? Do you think that if you are sort of, a master of one or a jack of all trades, where do you think the success is?
We have to be good at multiple things, right? I mean, there's no getting around it. You can't just stream on Twitch anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you pretty much have to, especially now, short form content. Like, I mean, you've got to be uploading shorts. You've got to be uploading reels. You've got to be uploading what is long form content now, 2 minutes plus now on YouTube. Like, you've got to be you got to be all over the place. And for most of us poor people, we still have a 9 to 5 job.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I have to go to work for 9 hours a day where I can't necessarily focus on all this stuff. So it's like, I'm up all night.
Yeah. It really becomes, at what point do I sleep?
Right. And it's like for me, I've had to really start prioritizing where I'm at. So it's like, obviously Twitch is where you will find me 98% of the time.
Yep.
And it's like, and I've kind of started just focusing on like Instagram, because like I enjoy taking the screenshots and and all that stuff. And you can post your reels there, which are basically just your TikToks. And it's like, okay, and then I'll take the reel and I'll throw it up on YouTube, because why not?
Right.
Like, but even then, it's just like, it's not enough.
Yeah.
It never seems like enough. It's like, oh, well, you're not also uploading a 15-minute video once a week. And it's like, oh my gosh. And it's like, okay, and then also with that 15-minute video, you're not uploading like 3 smaller 5-minute videos.
It's just like, I want to give you some good news. To make your life easier, Mark Zuckerberg has added one more social media platform for you to post content on. Congratulations, Jinxy. There's another one. Yeah,
I'm so excited.
You don't get to pick one. Now you have to pick your top 4 out of the 9 that are possible,
I mean, I guess the nice thing is like Threads and Instagram could kind of marry each other fairly easily.
Yeah. And that's the weird integration between them. But I think, the diversification, because the audiences are in so many places, the one thing that I think, based on the overview that I saw of the panel, the sort of the recap of this particular presentation, was I think it gives people the wrong impression. I think it gives people the impression that you have to be on all of them. And I don't think that's true. I think that the way it does break down is that your audience, whoever you are as a content creator, your audience, for the most part, is going to pick 1 or 2 that they spend time on.
Yeah.
They're going to have their preferences, and those are the ones you need to be on, whether you're good at them or not, whether you like them or not. If that's where your fans are, that's where you got to be.
I didn't even mention Discord. Do you know how much time I spend on Discord every day?
I do, actually.
I know people don't necessarily look at it as a social media platform, but it's like Discord is absolutely a social media platform. And
well, we just got this in chat. So I think you should go where the audience has the most presence and what their favored forms of content are: posts, videos, etc. I think that's exactly what we're talking about, is be where they are and post what they want to see. Don't worry about anything else.
The hard part is finding out where they are. It's like, I mean, because it's like one day Instagram pops off and you're like, oh, okay, everyone's on Instagram. And then the next 3 or 4 days it fizzles out, and then Twitter pops off and you're like, okay, I guess everyone's on Twitter now. And then Twitter fizzles out. It's just like, guys, pick a lane. Where do you want to be?
Twitter showed us an interesting thing about that, is for every time Elon Musk makes what is generally viewed as a bad decision, you will see that outrage from the user base, and they just immediately I'm going to Hive, I'm going to Mastodon, and it's like, you're all still here.
And
please shut up. You're all still here. Let's all calm down. You didn't leave. You might have created an account like the rest of us did, but you're still here.
Yeah, because arguably up until now, Twitter's not had any real competition.
No.
I mean, there's been a couple of the other things that have sprung up, like you said, like Mastodon and stuff like that. But I think Threads, just because of who it's backed by, is so far the only one that could maybe come in and put a dent in that Twitter. And good, like, it's like I've always said, like, it's like, I don't necessarily want, back to streaming, it's like, I don't necessarily want Kick to fail. Kick being here is going to make Twitch better, right? Like, Threads being here will make Twitter better, and Twitter being here will make Threads better, and so on and so forth. And so it's like, but then again, it's like, look who Twitter is, owned by. But anyway,
we're back on the Elon Musk train. Thanks, Jinxy.
Well, I mean, you saw it all day where he was like taking pot shots and stuff at Zuckerberg and stuff.
Oh
But
yeah.
anyway,
And now
but
there's a lawsuit. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, back to it's like, no, you don't have to be everywhere. But in my experience, I mean, I've only really been at this like a year, right? So I'm still
Really?
very much.
Has it been a year, Jinxie?
It's been a year as of
How
like
do you
2
know
days
that,
ago.
Jinxie?
Because Twitch told me.
We should take a quick moment to mention that MisterJinxy did just celebrate 3 days ago.
2 days ago.
2 days ago, MisterJinxy did celebrate his 1 year stream anniversary. He has been a streamer for a year.
And I've hated every minute. No, I'm just kidding.
To answer your earlier question, though, about how do you find where your audience is, I have a really simple method. I stalk them.
Fair.
Yeah.
Do you tell them to like change the color on their walls too? Like, oh, that blue doesn't really work.
Yeah. I was having a conversation with somebody, and I was like, "Hey, good morning. How you doing?" And they said, "Oh, I feel great." I said, "Oh, really? You look like Yeah.
I'm looking through your window.
Yeah. And I was like, "Really? You look like you kind of messed up, but whatever." How was your night last night? Because I think you're drunk. Anyways. In chat, Nerdy Nurse says deletes all accounts.
Yeah, all accounts gone.
All gone. So, but again, to go back to the topic, I think that the diversification thing, I think that the panel or the presentation left a little bit of a wrong impression. At least the recap that I got, it left me with the impression that you have to be everywhere, and you don't. You need to be where your audience is and nowhere else.
Well, that, and like if you're just starting out, you can sort of guide your audience to an extent, right?
Sure.
Like where you're like, hey, I post a lot on Instagram, and hey, I have a Discord. Like these are the two places you'll probably find me outside of stream.
Yeah.
And you can kind of guide people to an extent, but
well, I mean, that's like
I never got on
the bigger.
I never really got on like the TikTok train, and I know TikTok is huge, but to me, it always seemed like fake views. It's like I posted a couple, and it's like, oh wow, I got like 3,000 views, and it's like that turned into nothing.
Right.
Like,
but that's
people
like
scrolling through, and it popped up for 0.2 seconds, and it counted as a view.
It's a nearly useless metric.
Right.
Yeah, unless you're generating likes and comments or shares, the viewing is absolutely a waste of time. Who cares?
Right. Yeah.
So what advice would you give somebody if they're a content creator, if they were wondering where should I be? What would you tell them in one sentence?
Find a stairwell to cry in. No.
Quit.
Find a crying corner.
Yeah, go get a real job.
Right. I mean, it would just be like, I've had this discussion with some people that have watched me, like some friends, and they're like, oh, this seems really cool. Like, what do you recommend?
Jesus. Oh, man.
And I always say don't. No, I'm just kidding. I always start with like, don't try to do everything at once. Like, in other words, like, start streaming, get a schedule going. Like, kind of like take it like just one piece at a time. And it's like that's what I did. It's like I started streaming, and then I started networking, and then I made a Discord. Like I didn't just go, okay, I want to start streaming, I have to have my Discord set up, I want to start networking, I've got to get my Instagram rolling, I got to get my Twitter rolling. Like I very much was just very a piece at a time. And then eventually you kind of just start slowly developing those habits. It's like, okay, now my stream schedule is my stream schedule. I know I'm going to stream on these days no matter what. Okay, now I know, check my Discord every day, build that habit. And then it's like, okay, you got those two habits going. It's like, okay, now throw in Instagram, right? And just kind of slowly build in. But that works for me. My ADHD brain, if I tried to throw everything on the pile at once, my brain was, and I'd be done.
Jinxie, I'm sitting here going, he did everything I didn't do. That's interesting. We started exactly the opposite way. When I started streaming, when I decided this was going to be my thing, like you can go see like all of my like account anniversaries. Like, how Twitter gives you that tweet that says, hey, it's your third anniversary or whatever. Like that, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, they're all within like 48 hours of each other. I went
That's how you
through.
know your stream anniversary. You get all the
Oh God,
notifications.
I set everything up. I got Discord ready to go. I cool. My Twitch account's here. I got my technology. I did it. Cool. I am ready. Woohoo! Nothing worked, but I had it. You know, I was like, I was there. I would say, I think that if somebody is looking for where to be, I would say talk to somebody who's there.
Sure. Yeah.
Think,
Like say
find
you're looking
somebody
at.
who has been there before. Find somebody who is similar to the kind of content you want to create. And if they're successful, don't copy them. Please don't copy them, but learn from them and figure out, oh, cool, you're on Twitter. All right, maybe, I'll check out Twitter and I'll make my presence on Twitter, not a copy of yours.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, right? Well, let's just argue. It's like, oh, you want to stream on Kick? Okay, go find a smaller streamer that you can maybe interact with more on Kick and just be like, what's it like over here? What's your experiences here? Same with Twitch or YouTube, whatever. Yeah, I have to do baby steps or my brain will just implode. So that's more of a personal thing. But like I honestly was like, I'm just going to stream, and I started because Star Citizen. I was playing Star Citizen nonstop, and I was finally like, I should hit go live.
That was your first problem.
Like, I'm playing this game nonstop anyway. I might as well stream it. And then so I started streaming it, and I did the fun stream to one person for a few weeks, and then I stumbled into another channel and I started networking with them, and then it just
Hey, speaking of which, did you see the post that I made in the Rise Above Discord about 2 hours ago?
2 hours ago? Mm-mm.
It was the 111. You didn't see it?
I haven't seen it yet. No.
I was talking to Jinxy just before the stream. I've had some technology on the back end of both this podcast and my streams. It has completely failed. It has died on me, and I had to rebuild everything literally over the last 3 hours before going live with the podcast.
I just saw it.
Okay. I did a test stream. I had to test a couple of commands that would only trigger when I was live. So I was like, oh crap. All right. So I pressed go live. I tested the commands and I shut it off.
Yeah.
That's what it was. A lot of people woke up to it and they were like, hey, I saw you went live at 1 a.m. So anyway, so I posted the screenshot because I got the summary from Twitch. It said, whatever, your last stream live for 1 minute, 1 new follower, 1 viewer. And I was like, well, shit, every new viewer I had became a follower and I was only live for a minute. I'm winning.
Stop stream, start stream, stop stream.
Exactly.
Start stream.
I got a 1-for-1 ratio. I'm kicking ass. I'm going to do this 100 times a day. So anyways, the other thing that happened at VidCon that was a big topic, and this came from pretty much every panel, every presenter, and it came from the title sponsors themselves, was AI. AI was a big topic at VidCon. AI was something that everybody is saying it's if it's not in now, it's walking through the door and it's not quiet about it. AI is going to be how the algorithms are working. AI is going to be how content is created. AI is going to be how audiences are discovered. AI is going to be art. AI is AI.
Our
what
overlords.
do we do with it? So we're going to talk about that at the end of the episode. But I just wanted to let people know that was also something at VidCon, and I will probably plan on being at VidCon next year. So everybody start buying your tickets now, and then you can avoid me. Just saying. Let's go on to the next one. We are going to step over that, and let's go to something that is a little more general, which is going to be what games are coming out in July of 2023.
Nothing.
Is there anything that you're excited about for July game releases?
It's hard to say I'm excited. I'm looking forward to Pikmin 4.
Okay.
But I'm not like I have to have it the day it comes out. I'm looking forward to it being a game.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's a Nintendo release, by the way.
Yeah, it's only on the Switch. So actually, oh no. Nope. Skipped ahead a few months. Don't look at those.
Just July.
It's how they have it listed. It's terrible.
It is.
The Expanse might be pretty fun. The show is really good, but the Telltale games are kind of like the point and click kind of thing. So, I mean, that might be fun, but nothing I would spend probably full price on.
I think July is a fairly dead month.
Yeah.
There's not a lot that comes out. Everything typically will come out in May or June in preparation for summer.
Mhm.
and then we're not going to see anything until, I think personally, I think that it kind
it's
of
a
around
lot
back
of
to school.
games. It's a lot of games that are maybe trying to avoid the big push, like right before holidays.
Exactly.
Like no one wants to compete with Starfield, right? No one wants to compete with
No.
Call of Duty. No one wants
No.
to compete with so these are the games that like they'll do pretty well in the summer when there's a kind of a lull, and there's not a whole lot coming out. I was laughing when we were talking before, and I was like, "Mr. Run and Jump, what's that?" And I was like, "Well, probably a guy that runs and jumps."
Very, very simple titling process. Yeah.
Oxenfree 2 would probably be pretty fun. I played the first one and enjoyed it. But there's nothing on this list that really has me like, I am going to be there the day the door was open for this game to come out and buy it that minute. It's just,
Well,
I mean, like, what is this, like a Sea of Thieves DLC? Like, did that really need to be listed as a game release? I guess I don't know.
It is going to be, as far as I understand, it's going to be a pretty big piece of content. So yes, but in chat,
okay.
just got mentioned one of the titles that I think a lot of people are excited for. It's not like a AAA title or anything, but a lot of people are excited for Disney Illusion Island.
Is that? I wonder if that's anything like the old Sega Genesis games, like the Castle of Illusion. Mickey's Castle of Illusion on the Sega Genesis. I wonder if it's like a spiritual. If so, it would probably be pretty fun. But
I haven't seen the trailer
scroller
for it. I just know there's a buzz for it. I know people are excited because Disney did so well with oh my God, Dreamlight Valley. Holy crap.
Yeah.
I think people are excited for more Disney.
But it's only a Switch game though, from what I see, at least on this list.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's just a Nintendo title.
Yeah. I mean, which is cool. I mean, good for the Switch. It's probably a time thing, honestly. I can't imagine it would stay on the Switch only. But
well, it was it last week or a couple of weeks ago? I'll edit that depending on whenever this gets released. But basically, something like 1 out of every 5 PlayStation owners also has a Switch. Like it's a prevalent platform. A lot of people have that console for whatever reason.
I mean, it's outsold the Series X and the PS5.
Right.
It's popular. I have one. I enjoy it. It's not my main platform, but I like having it for when a game does come out for it. But
I'm afraid that if I buy it, I'll feel like I have a Game Boy in my hand again, and that just makes me feel old.
Will you get picked on the bus?
Yeah, probably. I get picked on the bus now. Bad. It's supposed to be a local play game for family play. At least that was the intention. That was my understanding. I don't know about the graphics or storylines or anything else.
Oh, okay.
But
okay.
yeah, basically, it's group play. Yay, you can play with your parents because that's what every kid wants to do.
So my grandma can beat me at this game too. Good.
Yeah, exactly.
Glad. Great.
Kicking your ass in Star Citizen. She's out earning. Anyways,
she talks trash in Wii bowling. Whenever I go visit and like they're playing Wii bowling, my grandma's like, he keeps turning his wrist. He's never going to be good at this game if he keeps doing that. I'm like, I can hear you.
Grandma's giving you notes.
You're right behind me. I can hear you.
She's like, shut up, Jinxy. She doesn't even call you by your name anymore. She just refers to you by handles.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Big Streamer Man.
Yeah, exactly. How'd that work out for you, Twitch boy?
Twitch boy.
So any PC games that are coming out in July that you're interested in?
Were they listed on there?
There's 1,000 sites. But again, my problem is I can't even go look at a site right now because if I pull up a browser, you disappear.
Yeah, here they are. A lot of them are the same. Obviously, it's like Sea of Thieves is listed again. Mr. Run and Jump is listed again. The Expanse is listed again. Like 98% of them are the same. The only one that's different is the Ratchet and Clank game, which was the PS5 exclusive, is coming out on PC. But I played that game 2 years ago on my PS5. I don't really feel a reason to buy it again.
Well, not all of us have all the consoles, Jinxy.
Well, right, but I'm saying from like a personal point of view, like if you've never played it, it's a very fun game. But like for me, it's just like, why would I spend another $70? So
totally fair point. You played it once; it's not going to be any different.
No, and it's a single player game. Like you beat it, you're done.
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing more
done
to
story
it.
mode. We're good.
Yeah.
Okay. Up next we have Sea of Thieves. Wow, I wonder what this game is about. So here's what I wanted to talk about. You and I have very different experiences with Sea of Thieves. You are very much a casual, occasional, sometimes you play it, right?
very casual, very occasional.
What's your
Yeah.
background with Sea of Thieves? What's your experience with the game? What do you think of it?
I was, for some reason, they let me play like the super early alpha that people weren't allowed to talk about.
The 2017?
Yeah, like it
Something
was
like
like
that?
I had to sign all this stuff, like you can't stream it, you can't show pictures of it, blah 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 blah.
Yep.
And I liked it then, but I had no one to play it with, so I was like, okay. But I was telling all my friends about it. I was like, hey, it's actually pretty cool. And then it came out, and I bought it, and no one else did.
Okay.
So I played it for about maybe 3 to 5 hours right after it came out. But I was like, I'm playing by myself. This isn't very much fun. I put it down.
And this was when it was first released, right?
When it first came out.
So
yeah.
there was almost nothing to do anyway.
Correct. I sailed around, dug up treasure chests, brought them back. Like that was the game.
Yep.
And it was fine, but like I said, I had no one to play with, so I dropped it for years. And now I occasionally, like when the Pirates of the Caribbean stuff came out, I hopped back in and played that because I thought that was pretty cool. And every once in a blue moon, I hop in and play with some friends. I enjoy it. I think it's fun. But so like I am so far removed from all this stuff that's going on with it. I know there's things going on with it because I kind of hear through the grapevine, but I think it's a fun game. I have no real complaints with it, but I also don't play it all the time. Okay. So like I don't experience a lot of these issues that people like when people are like, oh, there's not new content. And I'm like, well, for me, when the last time I played was 6 months ago, there's tons of new stuff to play.
Yep.
So my perspective is just so different from someone who plays it 8 hours a day on stream.
Yeah, and that's kind of what brought up this topic, because this week I think that there has been one of the biggest outcries from the community that, at least in my 2.5 years of playing Sea of Thieves, which certainly is not the longest time to play the game. I mean, it's been around for 5 years, but this has been a big deal for the last week because a lot of big content creators for Sea of Thieves, they're fed up. They are just frustrated. Right. The community is frustrated. A lot of the frustration comes in the direction of Rare, the developer, Rare Limited. But it really blew up on Twitter, and there was a lot of, like I said, I think frustration is the best word. I like the game, but. And it was such a big deal. And I think that there was some lessons in this for the gaming industry, because this has not been it didn't start this week. It came to a head this week. But like I stopped playing Sea of Thieves 7 months ago. In terms of like, streaming it and creating content for it.
Sure.
I'll still play it every once in a while, kind of probably like a Jinxy like schedule. It's just kind of like, I'll play it every now and then, and it's fun, and it's cool, and I get to check out a new thing that I didn't see when it launched. But that's, I mean, this was such a dedicated audience. This was a small but diehard group of people who only played this game. They're like, no, I am a Sea of Thieves player. Like, it was very much a preferred game. And now you've got so many people, like, I mean, you and we have multiple friends who used to stream Sea of Thieves, and none of us do anymore.
Right.
Myself, Bloodtide Gaming, Mother Nocturna, the entire stream team that I had before Rise Above. Nobody plays it anymore because it just kind of became the same thing again and again and again. So
when you say the direction of Rare, like what is the issue? Is it just not enough content? Is it just they're not doing enough about hackers? They're not doing enough about XYZ? What has caused this snowball effect, basically?
The frustration list changes depending on who you ask. So when I started seeing the tweets this week, I dove into it specifically so we could talk about it tonight, because I knew it was going to get bigger and bigger, because it didn't sound like it was going to get any quieter.
Right.
The issues, depending on your experience, the lists can change a little bit, but for the most part, it's the content of the game isn't changing. It's the same game mechanics again and again and again and again, and you keep cosmeticing this. You'll put a Jack Sparrow over it, but it's still a voyage.
Okay.
You'll put all these new cosmetics in there that we have to pay money for if we want them. There's some free ones, but very, very few.
Right.
So you're taking our money for cosmetics, but that's all you have in the game, which has been true from day one. There's no skills, there's no like leveling up except for numerically. Like, but whether you're a level 1 or a level 1000 pirate legend, you have the same 3 ships, same cosmetics. It's the same game. So the frustration is in terms of the content itself. And then Rare has also instituted these new seasons that they can't even keep their own schedules. It's like, hey, this is going to be a 7-week season. 9 weeks later, you get the new one. It's like you're not even doing what you've promised to do. And now you still haven't fixed all of the bugs in the game. I mean, there's still, I'm sure you are familiar with the hit reg problems. You could literally aim a gun at somebody's face and you'll miss.
Right, yeah.
And that's been a thing forever. And Rare has said, that's not a thing we can fix. And a lot of us theorize it's purely because of the mechanics of the water. The water in that game is ridiculously realistic. It's beautiful. It's bouncy.
Well,
it does all the things.
And it's also it's just a side effect of internet too. Like there's just latency,
that too, yeah.
Right. Like I mean, it's like they can only do so much, right? But it's like if the person you're shooting at has bad internet, and on your screen they're still registering right here in front of you, but on the server they're way over there.
Well, that's the thing. For Sea of Thieves, desync has not been the biggest issue. It's literally the hitbox may not be there, but the person is. The hitbox may not exist.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's an odd server side issue. It's not a client side thing, but and very much like what was just said in chat, the issues are the limited content, the content not being released fast enough, hackers, the inability to stop hackers. And again, the hacking thing is where you see the biggest divergence. If somebody were to come to me and say that their problem with the game is hacking, I will tell them I have seen in my entire 2.5 years of playing 1 hacker. Yeah. That's it. It's
Has
not
it gotten
an easy
worse
game to hack, but
lately?
It's worse now. Yes.
Okay.
It is stupidly worse now. But again, even for what I play, it's like I've seen 1. And it was, blatant hacking the guy. But for the most part, it's still a fun game. I haven't really had an issue. The issue that I had and why I stopped streaming it was because the community for it, and I don't know what it was exactly. I still don't know to this day. But something over the last year or so drastically changed the viewing audience. They're not... The funny thing is, if you look at the numbers for like Twitch viewership, Sea of Thieves kind of stays pretty consistent with somewhere around, let's say, 4,000 to 7,000 views on a particular day or month. I will tell you, as a small streamer, they vanished. I don't know where they went. And a lot of us had the same issue. All the small streamers were like, we used to get, and I'll make these numbers up, if you used to get 25, now you get 10. If you used to get 5, now you get 2. If you used to get 50, now you get 30. Like, the audience just seemed to change. I don't know.
Well, because if what you're saying is true, like I would say, I don't play enough to say one way or the other. But it's like if they're just basically reskinning content over and over and over again, it's how many times can an audience watch? But that's not really fair either, because like how many people watch Fortnite for hours on end? It's the same thing. You get on a bus, you drop in, run around for 10 minutes, get killed, rinse, repeat, and people watch that all day long, right? So I don't know. Maybe
some
people
they
have
had the same issue you did, though. Some people still have the issue of if I play it by myself, it's not fun. You can play Fortnite by yourself and do fine. You can play Call of Duty by yourself. You can do a first-person shooter by yourself and still have a good time. Sea of Thieves, a lot of people struggle like you did. It's just, this isn't fun. I can get a big boat and I can be reminded of how many friends I don't have.
Friends I do not have.
Yeah.
Thanks, game.
Yeah, thanks, Rare.
I want to go do that. I'm just going to fly my character. I won't be able to fly by myself.
Right.
Soon enough.
So I think that the thing with Sea of Thieves is the community became very loud and vocal this week. The community is frustrated, but you had, and I can tell you because I know the list pretty well, the list of Sea of Thieves partners who are also Twitch partners. Like, these are big streamers. They have hundreds or thousands of viewers at a time. All of them have either walked away from the game temporarily or they're now diversifying their content. And these used to be Sea of Thieves 100% players. All they
Right.
did was stream Sea of Thieves. And now it's like, oh yeah, I'm also playing Elden Ring. I'm also playing Fortnite. I'm also playing fucking Dead by Daylight, whatever. And it's like, dude, you're losing your core advocates. You're losing your core faces of the streaming community. That's a problem. Fix this stuff. But they haven't.
Do you think they're all going to run the Skull and Bones?
Hey,
Whenever
if they
that
do,
game actually
I
comes
will
out.
be there to greet them. I will say, hey guys, I was here first. I'm smarter than you.
Here's the thing: that game has to come out.
It does need a release. Yeah, it needs to finally hit the waves. Yeah, let's do that.
Right.
I think we got a comment in chat. I think Neebs Gaming did Sea of Thieves content, write 2 seasons covering the main story, and then the Pirates of the Caribbean remake quest. Yes, but they have a team, right? I mean, the game does get better with content with friends. It is definitely a good co-op game. You can have a lot more fun with it, and the complexity of the game becomes a lot more interesting when you have multiple people. But Sea of Thieves is not really addressing the fact that it's kind of a 5-year-old game, and I mean that with all the negative connotation I said it.
Yeah.
You know, it's a tough one. But I think studios got to pay attention to the way Rare has handled this and not do it that way.
I mean, do you think... I mean, it's obviously fixable, right? Like, if Rare really wanted to, like, it's fixable.
Mm-hmm.
It's just... Like, if they... Let's just argue they drop, like, a huge content patch, right? And it's just, like, everyone would probably come back. Right? Like, if it was, like, we listen, there's now this, and there's now that, and there's now this. Like, all these things people have been asking for.
They had that... Yeah, they kind of experienced that with the Pirates of the Caribbean stuff. They got that pop that they wanted. A lot of people came back for that. It was a huge bump. But now, like I said, if you look at the metrics of viewership, even now when they release new seasons, new content, whatever that theme is that they're promoting, doesn't... Like, if this was an EKG machine, the doctor's getting concerned about your heart rate.
I mean, it may be one of those things where, unfortunately, the game's kind of run its course.
Yeah.
You know, like, and not in a bad way, but from like a content creation point of view, like not necessarily just from people playing it. Like, people will always play it, I'm sure, but maybe it's finally kind of ran its course with people on Twitch and YouTube. And like, is YouTube still pretty down on it? Like viewership wise on videos
it's
and
kind
stuff.
of, yeah, the content's not there either. It's not even being uploaded at the same volume that it used to be.
Right. Yeah. So it's just kind of down everywhere.
Yeah. And I think that there's another issue, which is when you have, how do I put this? You have a community that was so diehard about it. I think maybe the community forgot that they can take a break. I think the community was just like, this is my game. And then when the game let them down, they got mad at the game and they didn't realize, oh, there's other games.
We wouldn't know a game like that, would we?
Yeah, no, not at all. I have no idea what you're talking about. Stop. Say, hey, this is my show. Don't make fun of me.
We wouldn't Star Citizen, like, we wouldn't know anything like that. Like, we
salutes and concierge. Yeah. So, but like I said, I think the community needs to realize that they can take a break, and that's healthy. I think the studio needs to address these concerns. They can't go on forever, or the game will die. They will lose their biggest title.
Right.
And that's going to be a big issue for them, especially now that they're part of Microsoft. Microsoft doesn't like losing money. They tend to fire people when that happens.
They also don't like releasing games, so they're kind of in a weird spiral. But
hey, Starfield's coming. There's a release date. All right.
Yeah.
Let's tackle our final topic of the night, and we can see where this ends up. It is a very big topic. It is a thing that covers a lot. We've mentioned it with almost every story we've addressed tonight, and that is the topic of artificial intelligence. You and I have different exposures and experience to this, professionally, I think, and personally. We're both content creators. We're both content consumers. AI, like you talked about at the beginning, AI is not going anywhere. You said that at the opening to the show. AI is here to stay.
Yep. It's just going to keep getting more and more powerful too. Like, I mean, once the Pandora's box opened, right? Like, and it's like, oh, this does work. Like, that was it.
Does it? When you say AI, when it does work, How do you mean?
I mean, I was watching a video. Linus Tech Tips did a video about this. They had AI write a whole script for a video for them, and they had Linus sit down, and they had one written by his dedicated writing staff. They're paid to do this, and then they had the other script by I think it was the flavor was Chat GPT wrote it, and he sat there and he was like, there was one thing that threw him, like there was like one key word that like the writers have never used before, and then he was like, oh, this one's the AI one, right? But it took him, like he was sitting there, he's like, I don't know. He's like, he sat there and he's like, I don't know which one. And then like I said, he hit that key word or that key phrase, and he's like, oh, we would never say that one's the Chat GPT one. But even then, just delete that line.
Right.
You've got your script. You're done, you know. And it's like something you're paying 5-6 people to come up with. This AI bot spit it out in 10 minutes. And then he's going and tweak it a little bit. And you're already seeing it with gaming. Like people are making games with AI code. You know, like they're asking AI, like, I want to make a game. Like, how do you make a character do this? And it goes, here's your code.
My son is taking a video game design class.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
His teacher flat out told the class, if you don't know it, ask ChatGPT.
Yep.
For coding.
Yeah.
Trust me when I tell you, the principal and the teacher got an email from me that night saying, if I didn't need you to teach my son, I'm not sending him to school. So do your job. But you know, when you have a professional in the field of video game design who tells students, if you don't know this, go Chat GPT. Like, that's how effective it is. So I think your statement, like, it works. It's like, okay.
It works.
Are there dangers?
I mean, it's like Bing integrating Chat GPT has the potential to kill Google.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible what it's doing. And like the most recent updates, it's actually like doing math equations now, and it's spitting out the correct answers, like very complex mathematical equations, and it's spitting out the answer. You know, I mean, it's incredible. I mean, it's awesome. I think it's an amazing tool. Do I think we'll probably fly too close to the sun with it? Yeah, probably.
Hence my next question, which is, what are the dangers of Chat GPT? What are the dangers of AI that you see?
I mean, from a personal point of view, I mean, from most people's point of view, like, it can take your job.
Okay.
I mean, like what I do from a day to day, you could easily get something that's somewhat something. If you write a piece of code for AI that teaches it how to find and react to issues in like software and stuff like that, I'm out of job.
Well, Jinxy, at the beginning of your discussion, you talked about 5 writers who were no longer necessary because ChatGPT wrote a better script.
Right.
So, all right. So let's talk about job loss. You know, that's a concern. Can it create jobs?
Absolutely. If you see, that's where it gets tricky, right? Because right now we need the people to code it, to get it to work.
Yep.
Eventually we may hit that tilting point where it can code itself.
All right, so let's walk down. Actually, I think we're going to fall down that slippery slope. The AI machine can now code an AI machine.
Mm-hmm.
Did the machine just give birth?
I would, yeah. Like, I mean, if it's now quote reproducing, yeah. And
did
like,
we just get asexual reproduction from an inanimate object?
From code. Yeah. And at that point, how do you stop it? I mean, it will essentially become a hive mind, right?
So is it creating? Could it? I mean, we're still talking in danger realm. I'm not saying that this is what the whole conversation is going to be about. Everybody's listening.
It's
going,
not doom and gloom.
It's another Elon Musk. Are we talking Skynet? Are we talking the Borg? Are we talking iRobot? Are like
Now, as cool as it would be to see the Borg, well, until they assimilate you, but
Jinxie just wants to be assimilated and get a giant robotic phallus. That's what Jinxie.
Well, that, and it's like, just get it over with, right? Like, why fight it? Like, just get it done.
Resistance is futile. Jinxie's like,
Yeah,
damn right it is.
You know what? You're right. Let's just get this over with.
We're 7 of 9. Let's go.
Ooh, yeah. See, there you go.
Right. Sorry, guys.
Anyway.
There's 2 men hosting this episode. It's going to be garbage. Anyways,
it's interesting. It's an interesting topic because as the technology grows, I do think there will be a tilting point, right, where it does eventually find ways to write its own code. Now, will we have kill switches in place at that point? You know, like, who knows? Like, will we have ways of containing? Like, that would be the thing. It's like, if it becomes, quote, sentient, right?
Yep.
And it starts writing its own code, it's like, okay, can we contain it? Like, okay, unplug the server, kill it, you know? But it's like, well, has it already gotten out? And then at that point, if it has gotten out, there'd be theoretically no stopping it.
Like I said, we're going to very quickly fall down this slippery slope in this conversation. So take that idea into account. You're talking about, did we write in a kill switch?
Right.
We didn't write that code. The offspring was written by its parents.
Right.
So
that's what I'm saying.
If there was a kill switch, the parents got rid of it.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It would have to be caught like immediately.
Yeah.
But I mean, if it's spitting out code, like.
Okay, so I will tell you this. I went to a cybersecurity forum in the last half of June. That's as detailed as I'll get. It was a cybersecurity forum in the last half of June. And they kept talking about all these cybersecurity issues. It was actually a lame forum, but that's not the point of this conversation. One of the things that they mentioned, and nobody connected the dots, and I so wanted to ask because one of the guys there was actually an FBI agent in their cyber crimes division.
Okay.
And
you didn't tell him my name, did you?
Actually, yeah, we talked about you, and it turns out he says you need to turn your ankle bracelet back on, I think was his comment. Anyways.
I'll have to find it.
Yeah. I cut it off 3 weeks ago. But they mentioned this once and nobody connected the dots, which is what happens when you put a truly effective, a truly, capable AI code into a quantum computer. There is no stopping that. We're done.
That's a bad day. That's a bad day.
The computations happen in such quantities at such speeds. There is nothing we have that can shut that down. I don't care how big the power switch is. It's not possible to kill the power faster than that computation occurs.
Right.
They're on the net. It's Ultron. Like, we are now in Ultron territory.
It's one of those interesting situations, right? Like, let's just say, like you brought up iRobot, right?
Mm-hmm. As did chat. It's also been talked about in chat right now.
Oh, has it? Okay. The thing with that is we would already have to be making robots that we're putting it into. Like, in other words, like, say the AI takes off, gets rampant. Even if it gets into an assembly line factory.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if the materials aren't there to build a robot, it's not going to be able to build a robot, right? Like, correct. I mean, it's one of those things where we would already have to have built a robot and put the AI code in it. And then that could maybe in turn start building things, right? Because it was built once, so the materials are probably there. But I don't think it's a doom and gloom situation. Now, people are going to lose their jobs. Absolutely. I mean, that sucks. That's a reality of it. I am very possibly one of those people. I know that. I mean, it is what it is, and I work in a field that's pushing it.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, I'm quite literally the guy training my replacement, and it sucks, but like it was brought up, like certain things like nursing. It's like, I mean, or medical. It's like, I don't think that would ever go full AI, right? Because like, I mean, you kind of need that human perspective. But like what I do, if it gets fixed, it gets fixed. It doesn't matter who does it or what does it. Like it, but or I mean, we're even starting to see it like some like what was it? McDonald's just launched a store that has no employees.
No employees, yeah.
Like, I mean, we're already kind of starting to see this, and there's economists that have actually started running these numbers. Like, what do we do when there's more people without jobs than with jobs? Like, how do we support society in a world where it's like there's just not jobs for people? Like, they may want the job, but there is no job. There is,
right. They want to be, they want to be an IT professional, but there is no such thing anymore. Which like that's kind of a misnomer, because obviously you're going to have somebody that is monitoring servers and doing real work, but
it would be one guy.
Yeah, that's the possibilities.
It would be one guy at his station, and everything is feeding into that station, and he can sit there and just be, oh, red flag, let me, and then okay, we're up and running again. Yeah. Like it won't be a team of people having to monitor 8 different things. There'll be one guy monitoring 8 different things because it's all just being fed to him. And that's the thing. So it's like, okay, now you're going to have companies where it's like, okay, we used to have 12 people doing this. Now we can get away with 2.
And what gets fed to him will be filtered through an AI program.
Exactly.
It will filter out the crap. It'll filter out the unimportant. It'll filter out the you don't need to know. I mean, literally, the human will be the need to know basis, and the human doesn't need to. That's an interesting role for a person to be in.
I mean, it's like right now, what's the big protest? The Writers Guild.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jinxy, and you're over here putting 5 of them out of work just with Linus's team, you asshole.
But I mean, it's just interesting to me. It's like, I'm not saying these people don't need jobs, right? But it's just kind of like,
yeah, we do.
Why? I mean, realistically, why would a studio pay for an army of writers when in AI they can put in there like sci-fi movie with this, that, and that, and it's like, okay, and you may have a couple people on staff that go in and kind of tweak it and stuff like that, but you don't need an army of people to do that. And then even then, eventually it'll get to a point to where the AI tweaks it.
Where I think AI can help us, and again, this kind of touches back to your concept of how much control do we have? Do we have kill switches? Do we have limited environments? Things like that.
Right now we do.
I think that one of the ways that AI can help us is with the things that our brains are physically not able to do. Same as computing. Right? Computers can do things faster than we can, but we had to come up with the abacus first, then we had to come up with the calculator, then we came up with computing. I think AI is the next step in that. I think the interesting part is, if you look at the universe, and I'm going to get real meta for a second. If you look at the universe, the entire thing is math. All of it.
Sure.
I don't care what you're looking
language.
at, how it exists. It's all some sort of a mathematical equation at the basic level.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Can we, through AI, in maybe, and I mean this like deadline literally, in 10 to 20 years, could we literally find the cure for everything?
I mean, probably.
I don't understand why we couldn't. It's pure math. It's simple chemistry. This is the cellular problem. What is the cellular solution? What is the compound that will restore that cell wall, or will restore the mitochondria, or will stop the reproduction of the cancerous cells, or will restore the nervous? All of these things. It's pure math. It's chemistry.
It starts finding
it's
all the cures.
Yeah.
And it gets to that one, it's like, yeah, there's nothing.
Well, okay. Yeah. Sorry, Jinxy. Can we get something, like I said, when you combine AI with quantum computing, the level of capability is so high. Is that the role that AI will have? Can AI just simply do those things that the human brain may never be able to do? I don't think we'll ever be that advanced.
I mean, realistically, right? If you put an encyclopedia of every plant, animal, whatever in a database, and also put every type of incurable disease and what we know of it, right, in a database and went, okay, take these things and fix these things. Theoretically, right, it should be able to just go and be like, here you go.
Oh no,
You know,
I think it's better than
cocoa
that.
plant from the Amazon forest, get a grain of sand from the Sahara Desert, mix that shit together, and here you go.
I think that that's closer to reality. I think that what you're talking about is close to what it can do. I think what it actually can do is create compounds. Possibly. It will literally do the math. So, for example, you look at the periodic table; it goes up to 235, I think, whatever it is.
Somewhere in there, yeah.
Great. It will find element 290 because element 290 is the thing that will cure cancer. And the machine will literally, because the machine's not constrained by existence. The machine can say, this, based on all of the chemical equations and all the math and all the biology, this, I figured this out in 0.000001 seconds. This is what you need. And we will look at it and say, cool, we don't have it, so let's go make it.
Tell me how to make that.
Yeah, exactly. So
But
maybe
you
you
know
reverse engineer it, or maybe that just becomes our challenge. The machine says, well, we don't know how to make it, but maybe that's a limitation. I don't know.
We have one thing over them. We can survive a power surge and a severe thunderstorm. They cannot.
Not so sure.
The power goes out.
I'm not so sure. Scientists have literally just figured out how to generate massive amounts of electricity from the static in the air.
I saw that.
You, Mr. Cool. Southeast United States, captain of humid land, literally the air you breathe could power an AI machine without electricity.
Great. My property tax is going to go up.
Right. Cool. You're so valuable now.
Awesome.
It's not black gold. It's wet
just
gold.
Air.
Yeah. Just air. It's air gold.
I did read that article. It's actually pretty impressive, by the way.
I think that's the power that AI can bring on the positive side. I think it can do the complex stuff that we can't. I think it can develop ideas that we are not yet capable of without significant timeframes. I think that all of those things, and then on the small side, on the side for us regular folks, not just solving huge problems, but I think that AI can generate creative art. I think it can write scripts. We've already seen that. Yeah. So I think that's the other part of this is there's things that it can do simply because our brain can't, but our brains can write, our brains can create art, our brains can do these things that are part of day-to-day life. So can AI.
Yeah. I mean, the lines are getting blurred. I know you're frustrated with the school for saying that, but I mean, honestly, so that's what I went to college for was computer science, programming, and coding. I would have killed for ChatGPT.
Sure.
Absolutely. 100. Now, am I glad I just learned how to do it?
Yes.
Yes. But at the same time, I mean, how long before a 12-year-old writes the next big app and it makes billions of dollars?
I don't know, using but I'm hoping it'll be mine. Kids
Daddy wants an 890 jump.
That's the way it works. So talking about that particular aspect of it, I think that I can give you a comparison that you might agree with, which is a calculator can do 2 + 2, but I still needed to learn that fact.
Right. So
can ChatGPT solve a coding problem? Can ChatGPT teach my kid, the solution to a broken code? Yeah. But I need the teacher to teach my son to do. He has to understand how it's happening, not just that it happened.
He needs to learn the pain we all learned when you fix a line of code and it's like, oh, you know how there's one broken line?
Right.
Now there's 20.
You did the wrong character.
But that one line works now.
That was the issue with it. It's not so much that he gave them a tool. I'm very much wanting my child to learn 21st century technology. It's that he didn't teach him the underlying principle of why, how. It was just that's the result. He basically said, go get the answer is 4. He didn't tell him how 4 is 4.
I mean, but we're seeing it now with game development. I mean, Steam just or Valve, I guess, said we won't allow games with AI created assets. And that's everything from art to code.
And I'd love to know how they
prove it.
Yeah, how do you prove it's ChatGPT code?
Correct.
It's code.
Yeah, code is code, right? At the end of the day. Unless if it's burying things in there that tip it off, but I doubt it's doing that.
The first letter in every line spells Chat GPT.
Right. It's like all the comment lines is I was written by AI.
Yeah, exactly. But humans are stupid, you know.
But I'm also on the side of like, but why? You know, like, I mean, if they make a competent game with it.
Good question.
Why? I think it's more to cover Valve's butt, because then it comes down to who owns the asset.
Yeah, that's been an issue. I
mean, the person who used the AI, I would argue, does not own the asset. Like,
really?
Right. Well, yeah, because they didn't write it. You know, like, I mean, they put in the information they needed, but they didn't write the code.
Okay, I'm going to go back to my old man example. If I didn't do the long form math and all I used was a calculator, did I do the math?
No. You know the steps to put into the calculator to get the spot. Like, you know how to do the math, but you didn't do the math, right?
Right. But let's say I didn't handwrite a letter, I typed it in Word. All right. If Word corrected my spelling and grammar, did I write that letter? Is that letter mine? Or is that Microsoft Word's letter to my friend, Sally?
Sure. I think it's just a moral, or it's just a gray area right now, right? Because it's like, there is a company that owns ChatGPT.
But there's a company that owns Microsoft Word. If I type something, it's still my letter.
Right. But my point is, it's like, but with Valve, I think it's more of them trying to cover their own butts.
Oh, that could be,
like,
yeah.
Like, it's not necessarily they don't want it. It's just they don't want someone coming after them and being like, hey, we've actually seen the same asset piece of art in like 5 other games, and we've been able to reproduce it in our AI code. It's ours, and then it becomes this whole thing. And yeah, it's all real dicey.
It is. It's a very new area that we have to figure out.
Yeah. And I mean, if CIG wanted to get some of those quantum computers up and running,
and might finish a game. I think that, for everything that we've talked about just in the last, half hour or whatever it is, 20 minutes, there are significant pros, there are significant positives to AI, its capabilities, and how it can be integrated into our lives. We also seem to think that there are some very serious downsides that could come with it, that might be uncomfortable but necessary. Some are just wrong. There's a whole lot of, it's not a cut and dry issue. AI is so pervasive and prevalent that, basically it's going to not be perfect. It's not going to be what everybody wants. But I think you were 100% right when you started the show and said it's not going anywhere.
No, it's here. Yeah, all it took was one person to write a line of code that worked. Yeah. and we're here. And now all they are doing is making it more efficient, stronger, smarter, all the above. Like, every time there's a new iteration, it's like, even like the first couple of versions of it, they were like, it's not really doing math. Like, it's not solving equations. And the next update, they're like, it can solve pi to the 8 bajillionth, whatever. Yeah. And it's just like,
it's learning.
Okay.
It's learning.
And it, if you look at it just from like every industry, it's like, right, like everyone's racing to get to Mars, right? And they're trying to design these rockets and they're trying to do this thing. It's like, theoretically, with AI, they could go and be like, hey, this is the gravitational pull. This is the amount of fuel that we need for that. What design will get us there?
Yeah.
Right. And AI can be like, well, you want it, you need these engines with these fuels and this amount of blah, 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 blah. And then they go, oh, crap, it worked.
Like, I think that AI could have solved the rocket equation real quick and gotten us to the moon real fast.
Right. Yeah.
It's got that ability.
There will be basically zero trial and error with a lot of things, right? Because it knows that's the right equation.
How do
It
you mean?
knows that's the right.
Gotcha. Okay, yep. Mhm.
Like, in other words, like, yeah, I'm sure we'll test it, right? Just because we're human and we don't trust things. But by and large, I feel like most of the time, if not all the time, they'll run the calculation like, yep.
Wait a minute, though. You bring up a really good example. I don't know if this, would this apply? The AI could be wrong if it has an incomplete data set.
Yeah.
We might have to test stuff because if it doesn't have all the data it needs, it can't invent the data. Well, no, it could invent it, which would still potentially be wrong. But if it's contextual data, it may not know it. So
it could probably fill in gaps fairly well.
Right. Yeah, maybe
but
fill in some gaps, but it still might need to know. You know, so for example, if we gave it a data set of 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, it could figure out 2.
Correct. Yeah.
But it might not figure out the concept of 0.
Right.
You know, it's like, oh, I see a hole. Like you said, it's going to fill in a gap, but it may not have an idea that a 0 should exist. It's just
right. Well, let's
just
argue they put the calculation in, and they don't put in, oh, it's wintertime. Right, that they're aiming to launch. Because I mean, to get to Mars, like, there's only certain times of the year. Actually, it's like once every like 5 years, reasonably, where they can actually feasibly have the most like efficient path, right?
Sure.
So, but like, let's just argue it's like, oh, we didn't put in its winter. Well, that may seem like a small thing, but when you're talking about these types of calculations, those things do matter. You know, the consistency of the air, the temperature of the air, like, it all plays a part in fuel combustion and all that stuff. So it's like, even if you left out that one little detail, and it, like, say, it calculates for summer,
right?
It's like, well, now your rocket's not going to make it.
It's windy now. Yeah,
like, it's windy and it's cold. Well, I mean, I guess it's Florida. It's never really cold, but colder than summer.
Yeah.
But
okay, that makes sense.
It would be interesting to see, like, it would almost be interesting to see if, as humans, we do it on purpose. Like, leave things out on purpose to, like, cripple it, right? Where
that's
it's like
the kill switch.
Yeah, like, we just don't fill in the gaps. But then again, if it's connected to the internet,
but
it can just go find its own.
The internet, you got to remember, the internet is the sum of human knowledge, and humans are stupid.
I don't know. Wikipedia is pretty reliable.
I mean that, and I mean that, like, really, like I said, sort of macro level stuff. But we know and understand very, very, very little of the universe itself. So if that's all it's learning from, it at some point will either have to teach us or wait for us to learn something. Those are the only two options.
Yeah. And then we get into, are we in a simulation?
I've heard that.
That's a fun topic, and I would love to dive into it, but there's not time.
No, there's not. We should probably bring this to a close.
But it is a really fun topic.
Celebrate life. So let's do that on a future episode. Are we in a simulation? Pros, cons, and do we care?
I could talk.
Well, let's do it then. That'll be the next one. Jinxy, thank you so much for being here, buddy. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Thanks
Always
for having
love chatting with you. For anybody who wants to connect with MisterJinxy, you will find his details down in the show notes here on YouTube. For all of the audio versions of the podcast, you will see that in the show notes there as well. Those will be down at the bottom, just above my own, because I always put the guest first. So you will find that, and then you'll find all the different ways to connect with me. But you can find MisterJinxy typically streaming on Twitch, unless at some point this changes, and in the future that's no longer true, and he's moved over to Kick or where.
Oh, I got that big Kick contract. I've not talked about it yet, but
hey, buddy, if they're giving you 3 burritos a week, take it.
That's what I'm getting from Twitch. Anyway,
roll with them good, gourmet burritos.
Right.
Anyways.
Right.
Thank you, sir. Go have a good weekend. And for all the rest of you, have yourself a good morning, a good day, a good night, whatever it is for you. And I will see you next time.